Well, lads, it looks like Lysengo is really making a push to try to get every little bit of Saint Quartz they can out of us, because they gotta know that we know that Lost Belt 6 is right around the corner. I mean, they even tweeted out that they're going to be doing the pre-release stream on the 5th, and that's probably going to run a week before Lost Belt 6. So, again, probably around June 11th, June 12th is when we're kind of pegging for Lost Belt 6 to go ahead and release. And so I'm sure that they know, so they're like, okay, what else can we throw at these people? We can't throw Scotty out there because she's coming out later this year. All right, boom, we're going to throw out Super Orion and Ibuki. And this is a very tempting banner to go on because both of these servants are going to be immediately powerful, but especially Ibuki is going to get a lot better as soon as Koyenskaya drops in about 2 months. So we're going to break this banner down in today's video. Again, do not recommend summoning on this banner, but I can see why it is very tempting for a lot of people to go for. And I know that I've got some whales and dolphins in my chat, so I'm going to go ahead and just break it down for those people, because I know some people are not going to be able to hope it. Because, look, you look at Ibuki. It's even tempting me, right? I got her on the JP version, and I could say I'm very satisfied with her performance. I don't have her on NA, so I'm a little tempted, but we're way too close to Morgan to be spending any other Saint Quartz on any other unit, especially if I want to try to get multiple copies of that Morgan. But before we actually go ahead and start diving into this video, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel for that daily FGO content, where your boy is trying to make sure that you are always up to date on what is going on both the NA and the JP version of the game. Also, if you want to see your boy play FGO live, I do that every weekday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on my Twitch, which is linked down in the description down below. But let's go ahead and start diving into this banner. Now, I'm not really going to cover Danzo or Chiron because I don't imagine there's really anybody going into this banner for either one of those characters. I mean, I like Danzo as much as the next guy. I mean, who does not like a cute robot waifu? But the real prize, let's be honest, is going to be Ibuki and Super Orion. Now, Super Orion, everybody pretty much knows what's going on with this guy. You literally want to loop at least 2 stacks of his NP, and you could pretty much just kill whatever you want in the game. Even with just 1 stack of this going in, you're going to absolutely eviscerate whoever you're fighting, but it's when you start getting like 200% crit in rotation that this guy starts to look really, really nuts. He also has some value in getting extra NP copies, because similar to Castoria, he scales his attack buff for 3 turns on his own NP, so you can get a lot of damage going, especially with his Buster buff over here. You can start really getting a lot of damage if those are multiplying into each other, especially if, God forbid, you are fighting a wild beast or a demonic person, because now you're triple buffing yourself, and you're just going to absolutely eviscerate people. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody knows Super Orion's really, really good. I mean, bro over here is still one of the best solo servants in the entire game, and in my opinion, probably the best offensive solo servant in the game, because you just kind of run in there and just smack people really hard with big crits and big damage. If you need someone with more survivability, you use Chi Huang, and if you want to be kind of in the middle, you use Ku Alter. That's just kind of my opinion. You can factor people in like King Hassan and Herc in the middle there as well, because they're a mix of offense and defense as well. But this guy, I mean, you got the guts to keep him around, but realistically, right, you're not really going to utilize it in a longer fight, right? You're going to use this to make sure you can fire a couple of NPs, and that's pretty much it, because if the enemy is not paced in a couple of turns, you're not doing something correct with Super Orion. Now, I guess one of the things to be warned about if you are going to use him is that he does like to be by himself, because it allows him to find all of his Buster cards every single turn, and it also lets him find his Arts card if you need just a little bit of extra NP. Now, you could argue that using him with, say, like double Koyenskaya could really offset that, because they'll give him his NP for free, but then you might not find his Buster cards, and then at that point, what's the point of using him? So do keep in mind that he is one of those guys like Chi Huang or like Ku Alter that do like to be by themselves, and they function very well when not paired with any other supports, especially if you're going to use them with, say, like a Leonidas and George Taunter, and you equip that 3-star Battle of Camlon CE to give him an additional like 15% NP to help him get going when they get KO'd. You can do a lot of fun stuff with that, but still isn't terrible if you do want to pair him with other people. It's just, in my preference, I find that he works a lot better when you use him by himself, but he's not terrible when you use him with others. Then moving over to Ibuki. This is the one that's going to be a bit more interesting, because Ibuki right now is already what I would say is like standard.jpg good servant, right? I use that to not say that servants are bad, by the way. Whenever I say that, it's just a servant has just the good basic things that a good servant would need to have. I mean, she's got the attack buff that lasts for 3 times for 3 turns. That normally would be a complaint, but because she's going to be like a Buster farming servant, taking advantage of that huge 40% attack buff where you should only realistically be firing 3 attacks anyway, you're 3 NPs on all 3 nodes, that's absolutely fine. She has a 50% battery, which Koyenskaya absolutely loves. Those are the people that she ideally wants to be paired with. Then she's got like a nice buster buff over here to pair up with her attack buff over here. And then if you want to use her in more difficult content, she's got the ability to like seal NPs and do crits, which shouldn't really matter in, you know, farming content with Koyenskaya, but if you want to bring her there, she's also got stuff like Pierce Invul and Pierce Defense, which is the wombo combo from getting around any boss, right? It's even better than, say, like Shiro Amakusa's buff removal, because sometimes the bosses have buffs that you can't remove from them. This just kind of gets around pretty much anything. Like, outside of, I don't know, the enemy having a special damage resistance or something along the lines of solemn defense if they ever get something like that. I don't believe we fought a boss that has solemn defense yet. That's just been a thing for us, but if we ever do, it won't get around that. But yeah, it pretty much gets around anything. It's very, very nice. And if you're using her in bosses, she gets to stack this on people to do even more damage every single turn. And the undead special damage mod is not bad. And that's why I think Ibuki's kind of interesting to throw out right now. I get that it's just the next part of the Lost Belt King banners that they've been doing, but it does make her a little bit tantalizing, because if you don't have a really strong Buster Looper lined up, you know, she could be a very solid option. Although I will warn people that if you want to go for an even better Buster Looper, you can wait for Melusine. Melusine does really well as a Buster Looper because of her ability to have like a 100% battery, and it makes her function really nice in the Buster meta, because if you don't have like a max K-scope, or if you don't have a specific 50% charge CE that you want to use in conjunction with your Buster Looper, Melusine makes that very easily, in the same vein that Arcweed's really easy to use, because you could just smack like the Black Grail on them and they can just put in a lot of work. It makes them really, really nice. And that just, they give you flexibility. For an example, you could use whatever CE you want, right? Just do whatever, you know, insert CE here, but they're just very nice because that 100% battery makes them extremely flexible. So even though I think someone like Ibuki might be very tempting to go for, because we know the Buster meta is coming up and Ibuki's not bad. I mean, her damage over here, it's okay. It's not like crazy Artoria, like Arjuna Alter levels, because Arjuna Alter is still one of the better Buster Loopers, and I'll probably make a Buster looping video for you guys in a few days here just to kind of prep for Koyenskaya. But if you don't have him, right, because he's limited, now you did pick him up on the last banner because you were saving, Ibuki's not bad, especially because if you're fighting someone that's undead, you can get some very good damage. But again, don't really recommend it, because even if you wanted to go for someone else, you could just go for Melusine over here, which I'll have to sort by the AoE, because Melusine is all over the place. Single target, AoE, she's doing everything. But yeah, look, her damage is like very nice over here. She's also able to build up damage as she goes along, so you can get some very nice damage going with her. I do advise saving for her if you do need to find yourself a Buster Looper and you don't have somebody. But again, that's also where people like Space Ishtar are absolutely winning right now, because Space Ishtar can just change to Buster, and look at that. Now she's a Buster Looping servant. Just probably one of the better units in the game. But yeah, let me know if you're going to be summoning on this banner. Again, I don't advise it. I think that Super Ryan is a very strong solo servant, but not needed for boxes. It's just a very fun way to play FGO with all the solo servants. But for the most part, you don't need any of these guys to get through any of the harder content in the game. And Ibuki is very nice. She's a very strong, solid option for Buster looping, but at the same time, if you really need somebody, you can use Koyenskaya to Buster loop. You can use Oberon to do Buster looping, or you could use Melusine, right? And these are servants that you're probably going to summon for, or even Morgan, right? Morgan does comparable damage to Ibuki because she's a Berserker. I believe her base natural damage is a bit lower, like quite a bit lower, but she is a Berserker, right? And she's also got more damage mods over here that you could take advantage of. So yeah, you have plenty of options. If you don't have yourself a Buster AoE servant, you can go ahead and just cop one when the Lost Belt 6 and the anniversary stuff starts to drop. So I wouldn't be worried too much about that. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you guys are going to summon on this banner, and let me know if you actually get the servant you're going for, because the worst thing that I would hope for is that you do spend Saint Quartz on this and then you don't get either unit. That I think would be the worst thing. So if you do decide to summon, let me know in the comments down below, and I hope this video serves as a catalyst for you to go ahead and grab them. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace, light guys.